Well, Mike, happy Valentine's Day. Welcome to our lovely Valentine setup.
Our Valentine's Day celebration.
Yep, our Valentine's
Because
Day date
we're
celebration.
all about love and tenderness around here, especially me.
Yeah, I get that from you. I get that from you.
Let me tell you about this guy.
I'll tell you about this fucker right here.
Yeah. The interesting thing, I think Valentine's Day is kind of more up my alley than yours if you go back to the origins.
Okay.
So there's like,
Is that just because it's like older or what?
yeah, because it started in like year 3. No, it's, if you go all the way back, there's like 2 stories of where Valentine's Day may have come from, and
Okay.
they're both from a guy's last name is Valentine, right?
Okay.
But the way why I say it's more about me is because both stories, they got beheaded by the same guy.
Okay.
Right?
So they both died.
They both died in a gruesome beheading, you know?
The true meaning of Valentine's Day.
Yeah, so when a guy loses his head over you for Valentine's Day,
Mhm.
that's really what it means.
Got it. Okay.
So
He's head over heels, literally.
Yeah.
His head is rolling back.
it's in a basket.
Yeah.
Blood spurting everywhere.
Okay.
And that's why it's red, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
everything's painted in this, poor priest blood,
Mhm.
that type of thing. So, yeah, so Valentine's Day is actually a little bit more gruesome and much more up the Gen X alley than it is the Gen Z alley.
Okay.
All right. So, but one story is there is a priest, last name is Valentine, and it was in Rome,
Okay.
and Roman Emperor Claudius II, he said that soldiers without family, not married, there we go, that's the word, not married,
No marriage
kids.
soldiers.
Yeah, no married, not kids.
Okay.
Right. Not married, no kids.
That's how they used to speak.
Right. Yeah. They were better soldiers
Okay.
than the ones with wife and kids.
Okay.
And so he made a decree that young men could not get married. Right. They needed to be soldiers. And
All young men?
all
Just
young
a
men.
flat,
Flat out. Young men. So I don't know what the age is where they're not considered young anymore,
Yeah.
but it's like young men are not allowed to get married.
It's like the draft. Like once you reach out of draft age, now you're allowed to get married.
Yeah.
Before that,
Yeah.
you can't get married.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you survive the military, then you can go ahead and get married.
God, that's a great way for population control.
Not that we're putting ideas out there.
Yeah.
But this priest decided he didn't like that law. And so he would conduct marriage ceremonies in secret so these young men can get married to these young women and have families.
Okay.
Right. And as I recall, they're a little bit more particular about premarital sex than we are now. So it was kind of a big deal for
Yeah, it was
us.
like, die if you get married, die if you have premarital sex. Which
Yeah.
one? Yeah.
So Claudius II learned of this priest
Okay.
marrying off his young men and had him publicly beheaded.
All right.
All right. So that is story number 1.
Okay.
Story number 2 is very similar, but it isn't a priest.
Okay.
Right. It's still another person named Valentine who defied the Roman emperor.
Right.
And so the Roman emperor had him publicly beheaded.
So maybe this is just an out there question,
Mm-hmm.
but what do either of those scenarios have to do with now this national celebrated?
Because
day?
it was this sacrifice for love, right?
All right.
Or at a minimum,
Did the
a
second guy?
ceremony so you could have sex. One of the
Got
two.
it. Did the second guy do anything for love, or
He did. It was.
did he like sleep with the guy's wife, and so that's his like celebration day or something?
So the second one is the actual theoretical Saint Valentine.
Okay.
And his story gets a little bit more muddled because his story gets roped into more of the Roman mythology,
Oh, okay.
right? And so his story, says that they moved Valentine's Day to February 14th because the day after that there was a pagan holiday celebrating the birth of the Roman Empire and Romulus and Remus, who was raised by Cerberus the wolf.
Okay, so so let me make sure. So the first story is guys marrying these young men in secret, gets beheaded, and Valentine's Day is in honor of marriage, love,
Yeah.
all that fun stuff. The second one is the church moved a holiday closer to a pagan holiday to outshadow the pagan one.
Yeah, I forget. There's a little bit more to it than that. So the Saint Valentine
But that's
did do some things of the romantic nature. I just forgot because I honestly, I'm more interested in the beheadings than the.
All right.
So, but either way, those are the two stories. To me, the running truth in this is the emperor beheading people.
Yeah. So the emperor beheaded somebody. The church as a whole has never ever moved a holiday to outshadow a pagan holiday.
Other than like Christmas or I think Easter was spot on. I think they moved Christmas because it was too close to Easter.
Yeah.
And they're like, there is this pagan holiday where they worship trees. So
yeah.
Just let's move it over there.
Yeah, we'll just take it over.
Yeah. So,
yeah, the church has never done anything.
So happy Valentine's Day. Do you feel much more romantic now?
I mean, I guess the beheading is, romantic. Because they used to like when a person was executed, that was like everybody's entertainment. That was like their day. Like go down to the execution, get all dressed up to watch this guy get hung or beheaded. So, I mean,
But it's all about the sacrifice. Love is so big and so important. It's worth the risk and the sacrifice of your own head.
I think our new Valentine's Day tradition is to all go watch a public execution. I feel like that would make Valentine's Day much more entertaining.
I think you should like buy Peeps, and then on Valentine's Day you get together and with scissors and just start cutting the heads off of them. Peeps.
Yeah, I mean, I think that sounds like a lot more fun than
you can make your own version, right? And like put in like a red, like strawberry jelly in the middle of it, so we cut off the heads. It's yeah.
Maybe I'll do that this year. I'm sure my wife will appreciate that.
So evidently, that's how the Romans celebrated Valentine's Day. They cut off the heads of people. So sounds
like fun.
What do you do? And then after you, what does Gen Z do?
So I typically, it's not a Valentine's Day is like a thing, like we go out to dinner, whatever. And sometimes, like I get like small gifts or like, candy and like a gift and all of that stuff, make it a little bit more special, maybe something a little bit more like personal, but it's not like a huge, like, oh my God, it's typically like we just choose to do something together. Gen Z as a whole, I think does something that you'll probably talking about in a minute, which it wasn't so common in when you guys were doing Valentine's Day, but like Gen Z as a whole, they do Valentine's Day most of the time, as far as I'm aware. And they also typically, it's a girl and guy thing, not just a guy to girl thing. So like both typically exchange some sort of something, whether it's a gift or candy or whatever the case may be. My wife a few years ago for Valentine's Day basically like made me this little basket thing that had like, I really like Doctor Who, so it had like a TARDIS painted on it and hearts and like a bunch of candies and like things that I liked inside of it.
TARDIS was the phone booth, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the time traveling phone booth. Yeah. So she like hand, made it and like all of this stuff and made it really personal. And she gave me that as a gift. And I don't remember what I got her, but we like pretty much every year we exchange sort of something small, whether it was like handmade or just something bought or whatever. I got her a gift this year that I can't disclose on here because I think she would see it before I get home, but we'll talk about it in a following episode later. But my gift is like just kind of stupid this year and just kind of funny. Something that I saw that I thought would be hilarious. So I got that for her. But yeah, so Gen Z still does it, but it's not typically just a guy forward thing. It's kind of a combination of the two.
Do you look forward to Valentine's Day?
I look forward to, I guess, like being with my wife, but it's not something that it's like, I look forward more to, because our birthdays are pretty close to Valentine's Day. I look more forward to those than I do Valentine's Day
and Christmas. Where does Valentine's Day fall on your holiday list?
I think it's the lowest on the list because my wife's really into Halloween. She really likes Halloween and like dressing up and doing all that. And so for us, I think Valentine's Day is the lowest on like the holiday list. And also part of it, kind of like Halloween, it's not like we get off for it or anything like that. So it really just falls on the, oh, hey, it's Wednesday, but it's the middle of the week. So we're going to go on Saturday and, or at least this year it is or whatever. So, I think it's kind of the lowest on the list. My philosophy has always been that if the things are more special that you're doing on Valentine's Day when you're doing them off Valentine's Day and randomly, rather than like, oh, this is the only day you're going to get like flowers and chocolate from me. So, that's all. So, and I think that goes both ways. People have different ways of showing their affection, but like, I think all of the random things spread out throughout the year is much more meaningful than just the one day. But yeah, I would say Gen Z as a whole does it. But it's just usually, like I said, it's both genders are participating in the day and, all of that stuff. I think Valentine's Day is kind of the end of, for what like the younger generation would call the cuffing season. Cause you kind of like got start of the holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas-ish, getting all through the holidays through Valentine's Day. And then after that, it's like, oh, I don't really need you anymore until next year. So I would say that may be what, I don't personally know people who like do it like that, but if I had to guess, that may be like kind of the end of that season, if you will.
So it's like March 1st is the whole finding new people.
Yeah, because it's getting into springtime and summer, so that's the for guys and girls, that's the hoe season, if you will, right? That's the I'm going into spring, I can start wearing my bathing suit and all of that stuff, spring break, blah blah blah, whatever, right? So I would say Valentine's Day is like the last holiday of that.
Yeah, and we don't want to break up with a person just before Valentine's Day.
Well, right, that would be rude.
That'd be rude. Yeah. So you get through.
So wait till the day after.
No, because that'd be rude also, right?
You gotta give it a few days.
Give it a week or two. You getting close to March, weather's changing. You're like, deuces, yo.
Yeah, spring cleaning. So yeah, I would say that's how Gen Z does it.
All right. I think that's different from Gen X.
Probably.
Gen X, when you're single and dating, so not married, right? It's a one-way thing where it's the guy trying to impress the girl and giving her gifts and taking her out and that kind of thing. And the girl receiving it. It's very convenient for them.
Yeah.
And that's how it is in the beginning. And the guys, it's like that first Valentine's Day, the guy tends to go out,
yeah,
right? And then the second one, it's more level-headed. He's not going into credit card debt on the second Valentine's Day, which can lead to some disappointment because now she's thinking, hey, last year we did this,
Yeah.
this. This year it's like, yeah, I'm not going $10,000 to get this time. But after you're married, Valentine's Day becomes a, what do I as a man have to do to not get in trouble today?
Gotcha. So it's a chore, basically.
It's
Or maybe not a chore, but it's just like, what is the minimum requirements?
yeah, it becomes like, okay, it's the anniversary. I've got to remember this so I don't get in trouble. You know, her birthday, I've got to remember this so I don't get in trouble. Valentine's Day, I've got to remember this so I don't get in trouble.
Yeah.
So that's really, I don't think we're really into Valentine's Day as a generation.
Mm.
It's fabricated in a sense. I've even gone out for an anti-Valentine's Day dinner on Valentine's Day.
Mm-hmm.
So we choose the other things, you know, the more the birthday, the Christmases and that kind of stuff.
I think most people do. I mean, I'm sure that there's those relationships that it's like, you know, very demanding, where it's,
and it gets,
you know,
it gets to that point like you're talking about, you know, you break up March 1st for the host season, right? But it's one of those where you've been together for a little bit and the relationship is a little stale, and then you go out into this overpriced fancy dinner and you're looking around at all these couples who are either so in love or faking it like you are. But you don't know that they're faking it, so you're just like, all these people are happy and I have to fake it right now.
Right.
And that just kind of makes things, you know, kind of take a left turn.
Yeah, I think the expectation is wrong. Like, I think that whatever Valentine's Day is for those people, like, you guys just do what you want. Like, I don't know if the expectation has to be this whole, like, I'm going to spend all this ridiculous money and go out or
and
whatever.
So I would not celebrate Valentine's Day, you know, and at least I'm communicating and upfront about it. I actually put a Last Man Standing before the Last Man Standing episode, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'll explain that in a second. But so I would not do anything for Valentine's Day, and then a few weeks after Valentine's Day, I would do something after everybody's forgotten about Valentine's Day. Right?
Yeah.
So now these flowers suddenly mean more because it happened on March 3rd and not
Right.
February 14th.
And that's what I feel like is important. Like, those things throughout the year mean so much more than on the dedicated day where everybody is expecting those things.
It's the random day.
Yeah.
It's like, it's June 12th, send flowers. Oh, what are these for? I was thinking of you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I think that means a lot more than this, like, reminded holiday.
Yeah.
Speaking of reminders, you guys need to go and like, subscribe, comment, do all those things. Hit the notification bell. Support our channel. Or don't.
Just do it. Do what you're told.
Yeah, just do what you're told. On Valentine's Day, everybody can go and hit those things.
Tell us what you hate about Valentine's Day, or love about it, I guess.
Yep.
If you're into that kind of thing.
And to my wife, as you suggested, I'm looking at the camera as saying this. I'm not staring into Mike's eyes. So
my eyes are nice to stare at.
especially in the candlelight, the kind of twinkle and all that stuff. Yeah.
Unless I'm smiling, in which case you cannot see my eyes.
Yeah, the yellow of the candle kind of dulls your yellow, makes you a little more lively and pink.
But to Last Man Standing, if you haven't watched that show, it's on Netflix. You should watch it. But the lead character, Mike Baxter, notoriously did not celebrate Valentine's Day until one year that he did, and he sent flowers on Valentine's Day, and he was like, I'm the only man in the world who can send my wife flowers on Valentine's Day and have it be a surprise.
Yeah, for like 20 years, he didn't do anything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. So I think that's, like, I'm not saying you shouldn't do things for Valentine's Day, because if you want to do them, go for it, whatever. But I think the more important part is remembering to do it on the days that are not Valentine's Day. I think that's what's going to keep things from not being as stale.
So, well, how do millennials celebrate Valentine's Day?
I have no idea. I don't know.
See, I kind of, in my research, the people who spend the least amount of money on Valentine's Day are boomers.
Yeah, I mean, that would make sense. They can't get up.
They can't get up. They can't get it up.
Right.
So they're a grumpy lot,
Mhm.
right? And I don't have any evidence of it, but I kind of feel like millennials are probably falling right in those footsteps because boomers and millennials are twinsies.
Yeah. Whether they know it or
Yeah.
not.
Whether they know it or whether they like it, that's what you are. You're duplicates of each other.
Yeah.
And nobody likes either one of you.
Yeah.
But it's also interesting that guys will spend an average of almost $100 on Valentine's Day, and a woman spends an average of $47 on Valentine's Day.
Interesting. Pay gap.
Pay gap. Yeah, that's what it is. It's all right. We'll subsidize that too.
Yeah. Yeah, that feels probably right. I don't know. I think for Gen Z, dinner is probably that way. Still commonly like guy paying for dinner.
Mm-hmm.
But the gifting that's, during Valentine's Day is probably pretty equal, I would say.
So with Gen Z and dating, and we're not going to go into the mud hole of that, but kind of staying around the Valentine's Day theme.
Mm-hmm.
In my mind, that typically in Gen Z going out, you're kind of splitting bills or taking turns paying or something along those lines.
Yeah.
On Valentine's Day, is it the man picking up the bill?
Typically, yeah. Typically for dinner, that's what I was saying. Like, for wherever you're going out, I think it's typically the guy, unless you're doing like a thing. So like if it's dinner, I think it's typically a guy. But if you're going and doing like an event, I think there's a lot of times where that ends up getting split. And then like gifts are, I think, usually like equal in amounts or, whatever. There's definitely a bigger push in Gen Z for, it's, on TikTok a lot. Women talk about it all the time as well on there. It's a bigger push for them, for women to get their significant other or whoever they're dating gifts, like surprise gifts like men would typically do in the past, as well as on Valentine's Day. There's a really big push for like, the whole saying men only get flowers on their funeral day, basically, or whatever, and they get married on their funeral or something along those lines, right? So there's like been a really big push on TikTok over the past couple of years for like pushing women to give their husband like gifts or, things like that. As you would have typically only seen from men in the past generations.
So me personally, I don't want to receive flowers as a gift. Not in the slightest. Don't send me like chocolate roses or flowers or any of that mess for Valentine's
I know what
Day.
I'm getting you next week.
So what,
right at work to your doorstep.
what do you like as a Gen Z self-identifying male?
So the flowers are like nice and thoughtful. It's not like a preferred gift, but I don't mind receiving them. If someone's going to, like, I guess, get me a gift on Valentine's Day, I do really like the, like I was saying earlier, like what my wife made, right? Like the personal, like thoughtful gifts. Those are really nice for me to receive because it's like, oh, you actually like listened to the blabber that I was just spilling at you that you don't give two shits about because I know you don't. Things like that. Like, I think my wife does a good job at paying attention to, even though if she doesn't care for all the random hobbies or things that I get into, paying attention and like giving gifts based on those things. So those things are nice. It's
you
nice.
kind of a nut job, so I get it.
Yeah, kind of all over the place. So, having somebody that's like paying attention to that and is like, well, in the random chatter, I picked up this thing, so that's how I'll gift.
Do you think girls prefer the 25-cent sentimental gift over the $150 Coach bag?
I think it all depends on the girl. Like, the yes and no, because there's definitely girls out there that wouldn't give two shits about your sentimental gift that really want the Coach bag.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's all, I don't know, all girl dependent.
Yeah.
Because I think that like the sentimental gifts probably matter more, but it probably matters a little more that you spent more than 25 cents.
Yeah, I and it's exaggerative on purpose.
Yeah.
But you can only pull off that 25-cent gift once in your relationship, right?
Yeah.
If you've done something sentimental the year before that's cheap, and then something sentimental the year after that it's cheap, she's like, oh, he's just cheap.
Yeah, I think more, if it's gonna be more expensive to like for something that actually means something or is useful, is going to be more important than just like a useless expensive item.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, if I constantly like made you these really shitty mugs that you could tell did not take very much of my time, but it came from the heart, I think you would get over it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd get over it. Like, I'd be like, okay, like, come on, you could have at least, if you're gonna do a sentimental mug, at least you could have got something custom written on one that actually looks good, rather than this piece of shit you keep giving me every year, just filling up our cabinets. So,
all right,
but I don't know. I mean, if you're a girl, lady, whatever you say that you are, write it in. Let us know.
What's the best Valentine's gift you ever received?
I think what I told you about, like the handmade painted basket and all of that stuff, because it was really thoughtful, and there was a bunch of little things in there that were all like tailored to me and all of that stuff. I think that's the best one I've received. Yeah.
I don't even remember Valentine's gifts.
Yeah, we'll see what this year brings.
Yeah, let's see what this year brings.
That's the only one that I can remember off the top of my head, is that one. I don't remember any others, and I don't remember them being super like extravagant or personal or anything like that, if there were other Valentine's Day gifts.
Yeah.
So, do you have any plans for Valentine's Day this year?
I think I'm going to go to work, and then I might leave early and come home.
Take a nap, maybe?
No, I'll skip the nap. I'll probably watch TV and play Red Dead Redemption 2.
That sounds like a good Valentine's Day for yourself.
If I'm in a particularly good mood, I'll just like throw on Grand Theft Auto 5 and, run people over with the car.
Yeah, that makes sense. Maybe pick up a hooker on there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Drive it off the pier.
Yeah.
Jump out and swim away.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. I think this year my wife and I just did little gifts, and then I think we'll probably go out one of the weekends that because I'm not going to be home, today on Valentine's Day. Obviously, I'm here.
Yeah.
So, I think we're gonna, maybe do something after, like go to a simple dinner or something like that this year. Last year we kind of went all out with dinner, and it was good, but not worth the price we paid. It usually isn't, but definitely last year was not. It was good, but it wasn't worth how much we paid. So, and we've kind of got some financial goals this year that we're trying to achieve. So I think this year's dinner will be a much more simpler.
I think it's fair enough. Today itself is not Valentine's Day. We're recording the Valentine's Day episode today, but today is not literally February 14th. All right. So that's
well, for them it is.
For you guys it is, but for us it is not. So that's why it's like by the time you're watching this, I'm probably robbing a bank on Red Dead Redemption when you're watching it.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah.
I think Gen X men, we're not really after anything for Valentine's Day. I think kind of the best Valentine's Day gift you give to a Gen X guy that you're in a mutually loving relationship with is to be easy to get along with on that night, because we're not necessarily the best detailed planners and that kind of stuff, but we make the effort, you know. And maybe you wanted to go to this restaurant and he picked this restaurant instead. It's like, all we want is the appreciation that we went through. I don't need a gift. I don't need another tie, even though I do have a tie problem. I don't need another tie or anything like that. What I need is that appreciation, that even if it wasn't your ideal, just be easy to get along with that night.
I think that that's probably a common thing for just like guys in general, and I guess a difference between like guys and girls and how they feel about Valentine's Day.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm very similar. Like, I don't need a gift or anything like that, but being really appreciative of whatever I'm doing for you, or whatever I'm doing for you for that night, whatever it is.
And we'll probably know the areas that we screwed up on, you know? And so we're probably already kind of beating ourselves up over it. Like, crap, I was supposed to, you know, pick this up and I forgot about picking that up. But we got this other stuff. Just kind of use that day to not pick at our flaws or us failing on the overall game plan. We hit the big parts. Don't hammer us on the small ones.
Yeah, that's for February 15th.
Yeah. So I really enjoyed last night, and it got me thinking next Valentine's Day.
Yeah, exactly. You know what we should do next year?
Yeah.
And then you get your list of what you screwed up.
Exactly.
Alrighty. Well, this has been a nice date, Mike.
Thanks.
Thank you for bringing me.
I went all out, you know, and
I see.
got you boxes of chocolate.
Yeah, I had a cock holding up my heart. I appreciate it. So thank you for getting me a slam buddy in the image of yourself. I really appreciate that.
Well, a lot of people want to slam me. Take it how you want to take it.
I'm sure it's in the bad way.
In every possible way.
Yep. Alrighty, guys.
All right.
Happy Valentine's Day. Thank you for watching.
Peace be the journey.